My word, I can't see anything.
Really? I can see plenty in here. But for the sake of Sherlock?
Ah, now I see better. This is ink. It is not English, and it fell on the floor maybe 2-3 days ago. Someone has slept here. All these papers were gathered and burned. I need to find evidence somewhere else. A bottle of liqueur from the Richmond Abbey. Footsteps, size 10. Ah, I was positive. It moves. Very interesting. I should leave this forest and join Watson at Sherringford Hall. These letters are faded and illegible. This ink is not made in England.
Oh wow, okay. This looks like the same handwriting that we saw in the frets. And this confirms it. Okay, let's go and join Watson. Whoops. And I believe that we actually have to go back through the maze-like forest to the Abbey. There we go.
Let us return to Sherringford Hall.
Oh, Dr. Watson, beg pardon for imposing on you, but I must get a message to Inspector Lestrade, and...
He is just inside, and I am sure that he would be most eager to assist you.
No, it would be better if he would hear this from you rather than myself. The present situation requires me to be elsewhere. Please be good enough to tell Inspector Lestrade that I renounce any rights to the succession. Also, I will not be at my offices. I would not wish him to waste time looking for me there. Goodbye, and I thank you for your kind assistance, Dr. Watson.
I was upstairs and I could have sworn I just saw that blasted scoundrel Grimble through the window.
Yes, you are right. But you have no chance of catching him now. He has run away as if the very devil himself were after him.
It is not the devil that's after him, but myself. He would fare better if it were the devil on his trail.
He gave me a message for you, Lestrade. He said he renounces any rights to the succession.
What do you say? This is astonishing news. This will not prevent me from finding him. I want to know how it so happens that a dead man is found in a building to which only Grimble is known to possess the keys. By the way, where is our great detective? Oh, here he comes now.
Hello, gentlemen. What were you discussing?
Grimble has renounced all possible rights to the succession of Bromsby Enterprises.
But that does nothing to alter the fact that he is the ideal guilty party. Sir Bromsby had very important news that he intended to announce on the day of his death. What if this surprise news was the ouster of Grimble and Bromsby's intent to name his own daughter to succeed him? Do you think something otherwise, Holmes?
No, it is nothing. May I ask you a question, Lestrade? Would it be possible to keep this new information about Grimble from Miss Bromsby, but for a few days?
It's a deuced odd request, but I presume that you must have your reasons. I will do my best to keep this information private till the day after tomorrow.
Thank you, Lestrade. By the way, I would like to speak with Miss Bromsby. Where can I find her?
I do believe she's with her faithful knight in her sitting room. This gentleman never, so to speak, leaves her side. If this story spares them any further pain, no doubt they will soon be renowned as the most beautiful couple in London. I am trying not to think about it, but my heart feels heavy that I may have been an instrument of their sorrow.
By the way, my brother Mycroft has answered one of my letters, and his information seems to be most interesting. You can look at it if you would like. I have had a copy made for you.
It's a bit weird that Grimble came all the way to Sherringford Hall, a place where Lestrade is likely to be. But anyway, let's continue onwards. Exciting stuff. So, let's go and find Lavinia.
I hear laughter coming from the powder room.
Oh, hello?
Good afternoon, Mr. Holmes. James has just been showing me the photographs from his hunts.
Oh, but I wasn't the only hunter.
My respects, Miss Bromsby. Hello, Lieutenant. If I could have a look. I must say, this is quite a handsome specimen, but it is surprising how light it appears.
That bull weighed near 1,000 stones.
No, beg pardon. I was referring to your portfolio.
That is but another souvenir of my travels to Africa.
I came here specifically to inform you that everything goes well with the case, Miss Bromsby. But I need to ask you a question of a more personal nature. If the Lieutenant would be so gallant as to give us a moment of privacy.
Your servant, Mr. Holmes. I will retire to the smoking room.
I should reveal one of my hints.
Again, we don't actually have a hint to this hint, but it's this photo of a pretty young girl.
Does this photograph belong to you?
Yes, it's mine. This is the photo of an actress who was with their touring London company. They gave a performance at the town near my boarding school in Switzerland. This is Miss Davenport. She was kind enough to meet with us in her dressing room after the show.
And how would you describe this actress?
Oh, she was fascinating, on the stage and in life as well. She personally inscribed this likeness for me. You see, they were available for purchase during the intermission. She was so very beautiful.
Pray, continue.
When I met with her, she showed me this beautiful earring that she wore. It was in the shape of a wave with foam, made entirely of sparkling stones. It's strange, but I have never talked about this with anyone till now. I do hope I see her again someday.
Perhaps. Now, listen to me, my dear child. I must ask you to speak to no one about our conversation, not under any circumstances. The discovery of the truth rests on your silence.
Apparently, you can only pick up this photo on the first day. And if you don't get this dialogue here. And it renders the game unfinishable. I'm not sure exactly how true this is, but apparently this is so.
I've got to go now.
I understand.
This lieutenant seems a very commendable person. Miss Lavinia is fortunate to have him near. Lestrade was saying that he has found more evidence of Grimble's trail. The corpse we found at the cement factory may well have been an accomplice and the true murderer of Sir Bromsby. Grimble could have easily obtained an invitation for him to the reception. Then, some time after the deed was done, Grimble eliminated his accomplice to prevent his speaking. Or perhaps not. Whatever are you musing about, Holmes? Holmes?
What is it, Watson?
Blast it, Holmes! You haven't heard a word that I have said.
It is of no consequence. Tell me, have you had the opportunity to redeem the item with the receipt we found at Hunter's?
Oh, yes, it was a simple matter. In order to get the best price, Hunter agreed to redeem the item within 2 days' time. Look, these appear to be real diamonds.
It seems to me that we have gathered all of the key elements, Watson. However, before we retire, let's summarize our findings. The questions should be answered yes or no and justified by the evidence or testimony received during the investigation.
And finally, the silver earring has made an appearance. Right, so let's look at this quiz. And we know this is a yes. When we look at Wang Ji's profile, forgive my pronunciation, and I believe it mentions that he was officially employed as a firethrower in the cabaret act at the Fairfax Theatre. I believe this is also a yes, and we can find this out via our conversation with Appleby. He was killed by a bullet right through his heart, and there was only one shot, so I'd say that the killer knew exactly where to aim. And we know, again, this is yes from our conversation with brother, well, the brother. And it was mentioned about the rascals, and they sometimes seek shelter in the old ruins. And we already know that this is the case, as it was mentioned here about the handwriting being found on the piece of paper in the office of Grimble. But we need to present both of these. And I believe that this is also a yes, and this comes from our last letter. And if we scroll towards the bottom, it mentions about that Captain Lowry applied for the post of principal at a penitentiary in Italy. And that should be it.
It is simplicity itself, Watson. We have answered all the questions.
Hello, Watson.
Good morning, Lestrade. You are an early riser.
Good morning, Lestrade. You look really tired. You must have had a lengthy meeting with the minister.
But hold on. How on earth could you know that, Holmes?
I can read you like an open book. I jest with you, gentlemen.
It's not the proper time for jesting, Holmes. But upon my word, how did you find out about the minister? I was assured that only 3 or 4 persons at most had knowledge of this meeting.
Oh, I would rather withhold my explanation.
So you must be aware of the subject of the meeting.
Indeed, but Dr. Watson knows nothing of these events.
Well, our incorruptible yet ever practical minister shared the thoughts of the Chancellor of the Exchequer with me. They've decided that it would be most imprudent, given the crisis we're under, for a young lady barely 18 years of age to take control over one of the country's 3 biggest building enterprises.
I begin to understand, but
According to the minister, despite his bad habits due to the lack of consideration for his partner, Grimble is the only individual that the council has faith in to reverse the current state of the Bromsby holdings. It was further explained to me that if there is a choice to make in the direction of my investigation, and lacking any new evidence to the contrary, I must take these concerns into account.
this is outrageous.
And you, Lestrade, what are your personal thoughts on the matter?
I really can't say, Holmes. The prospect offered by Grimble seems so attractive. He had credible motive to murder Bromsby and then foul it. In addition, he was the only individual with apparent access to the shed at the cement factory where we discovered the corpse of his presumed accomplice. However, the only gadfly to this theory is his statement to Dr. Watson when he clearly renounced all rights of succession.
That is an item of singular curiosity.
It is difficult for me to believe that a man who could plan and execute 2 or 3 murders with such cool presence of mind would give up an opportunity of this magnitude so easily. I also have spent sufficient time at Sherringford Hall to have a high opinion of Lieutenant Harrington.
I agree with you. This young man, by all accounts, has an unimpeachable character.
I have no evidence to cast doubt on the truthfulness of his testimony. We reconstructed the crime, and it was evident from where he stood he could easily see Miss Bromsby despite the crowd. Really, Holmes, I'm not a man who would hand over an innocent girl to the executioner, even should it cost me my career.
I am pleased to hear you say this, Lestrade. By the way, Lestrade, have you any knowledge of the place known as Aston's Theatre?
Is it that shabby theatre that lies near the bank of the Thames?
Yes, several weeks ago it was acquired by the Fairfax Theatre Company. Their international tour appears to have been most successful as they are set to open their new play in a week. Dwight Richards happens to be their director.
You mean the author of the threatening letter that we found on Bromsby's desk? I must admit, I thought the letter to be of small consequence. After all, it involved a matter from so long ago.
Sometimes old wounds are the most painful. In fact, we are leaving for Aston's right now. I know that you are quite busy, but if you feel like joining us, meet us at noon. This might be interesting.
Vagrancy and profligacy.
Aston's Theatre. Here we are.
We are not open to the public yet, gentlemen. Oh, bless my soul. I can hardly believe my eyes. It is the young Sherlock Holmes, isn't it?
Watson, allow me to present Philotomy Kirby, who in his day was one of the last great hopes of the popular stage. He also took great pains to advance my comprehension of the many subtleties of the theatrical arts.
So he can still prattle away. Don't listen to him. This is the most talented student I've ever met, upon my word, as an actor. But those days are past. So, am I speaking to the former actor or the world-renowned detective today?
Tell me, what do you know about the Fairfax Theatre Troupe?
2 months ago, they returned from an international tour. Richards, their director, had managed to secure the necessary funds to buy back Aston's. It seems he had finally resolved his troubles.
He was in some kind of trouble.
Oh, it's always the same with those tours abroad. Your star actress marries an emir. Another time the entire troupe has their luggage stolen. Anything is possible, and whatever occurs is usually nothing good. But who would have imagined such a tragedy?
What tragedy?
Their last tour started about 3 years ago. At that time, the troupe was housed at the Fairfax Theatre. But a series of failures forced the owners to sell it at a substantial loss. The owners were 3 individuals: Dwight Richards, their current director, Miss Davenport, their star actress and the mistress of Richards, and lastly, a young actor, costumier, make-up man called Jeffries. They decided, after the sale, to launch an international tour in order to raise funds.
Their success was assured?
Yes, the fame of English theatre is worldwide. During their travels, Jeffries and Miss Davenport developed a close relationship, which was much to the regret of the hot-headed Richards. He is a gypsy by birth. No one can be more possessive and quick-tempered than a gypsy.
Pray continue.
In short, a dark tragedy occurred in a village in Latin America, located not far from the Amazon. One evening, after their performance, someone noticed that Miss Davenport and Jeffries had gone missing. The local authorities were notified, and the alarm was raised.
Oh dear.
And Richards?
Richards was implicated in some manner, it seems to me. However, there was no proof of his involvement, and no bodies were ever found.
What a strange case.
If you need more details, you should ask the actors. As you may observe, they are rarely able to hold their tongues.
I will see you later, Kirby.
Yes, it was good seeing you again.
The bodies really are piling up in this game.
Hello, young man. What are you looking at?
Oh, I'm sorry. You startled me. I'm looking at her. Her. Are you from the press? Of course you are. You must be here to interview her. Oh, the play is wonderful, and Miss Caroline will surely shine. If only my father could have seen this day.
Your father?
Yes, I am Bruce Aston, and my father was Clyde Aston, the former owner of the theatre. It may have fallen into some disrepair, but during its time it was well loved by so many. A host of young actors debuted on that venerated stage. Why, it was at this very spot where Mr. Richards first met Miss Davenport.
Have you ever heard of the Fairfax Theatre?
It is the theatre which was demolished. It seems to me that it had been owned by Mr. Richards together with Miss Davenport and a friend of theirs. They left on an extended tour, but I think it went badly for them. After his return, Mr. Richards bought the theatre back from the bank, and I do hope his good fortune will continue.
Well, we can hope.
With the talented Miss Caroline, I think anything is possible, and the building is still solid and comfortable. Though the bank took over the theatre, they left the keys. From time to time, I would do what I could to tidy up a bit or see to a broken window.
Are you a part of the troupe?
Yes. When Mr. Richards noticed how I had worked to keep the place up, he hired me. I helped Mr. Kirby a little, and also Mr. Trumpet backstage.
Goodbye, young man.
Goodbye, sir.
Excuse me, may I ask you some questions?
Naturally, I'm listening to you.
You are rehearsing at the moment, aren't you?
Yes, we are in rehearsal for the play we are to perform at the month end. Are you critics or reporters? As you know, we just came back from an extended tour. We were a triumph everywhere we performed.
Tell us about this international tour.
We performed in France, in Switzerland, and even for an Arab prince. We were met with acclaim at every stop. If tragedy had not occurred, we were to appear next in New York. But fate had other plans for us.
What sort of tragedy?
Oh, surely you must have heard about it. All because of those in our company who assumed the right to reveal every distasteful and intimate detail of a most tragic event. Anything to gain publicity for themselves. It is positively scandalous. But even a professional actor such as myself respects the privileges of the press and the public's right to know.
Your sensitivity honours you.
Please, continue your story.
The events took place in a most sordid place in Brazil named Guacamole or Babiamo or something like that. I still can't stop asking myself what we were doing there in the first place. But to be brief, our talented costumier, Mr. Jeffries, had been having a tete-a-tete with the beautiful Miss Davenport. Unfortunately, she was still very much the mistress of our director, Mr. Richards. I tell you, the tension was unbearable.
Really?
In the view of a professional, they were the worst hours of my life. Miss Davenport was spending the whole day closeted in her room. Mr. Jeffries trembled so uncontrollably that he was unable to do our makeup. Mr. Richards stepped in, and I must say, he was a pitiful substitute. May you never be so ill-fortuned as to have your face in his large, hairy hands.
Guacamole? What?
And then?
Our first performance in that town was naturally well received. That very night, a tragedy took place. Mr. Jeffries and Miss Davenport went missing not long after the performance ended. It was impossible to find them. Then we heard that Mr. Richards was arrested on suspicion of murder regarding Miss Davenport and Mr. Jeffries. We were outraged and most indignant. Some entertained thoughts that we would never leave that godforsaken place.
How was the matter resolved?
Fortunately for Mr. Richards and all of us, the prison warden and local chief of police was an Englishman. Lacking direct evidence or even a corpse, the accusations against Mr. Richards could not stand. He was set free on the spot. I think that had it not been for the intervention of that young expatriate, we might have been stranded in that Amazonian swamp for all eternity.
Well, thank you for your assistance.
That's all right. Don't hesitate to seek my help.